Join us on Discord and Patreon. Get early access behind the scenes content and exclusive updates. All links are below. Viewer discretion is advised.
Imagine this. You come back home from a trip to your local thrift store, having just picked up a vintage Carousel slide projector. And before long, you've got to sit up in a dark room, facing a blank white wall. You boot it up for the first time in probably decades. The projector jolts back to life and begins cycling through, slide after slide. The images from the lives of a family you've never met flash before your eyes. And even though these memories aren't yours, you are flooded with feelings of nostalgia for a much simpler time. Until you're faced with this. Before you can even process what just happened, you find yourself staring into what could only be described as a gruesome crime scene. A naked, bloody dead body laying flat next to a bed. What the hell is this image doing here? Whose projector is this? And who is the dead person in the photo? On December 9th, 2024, a Reddit user by the name of Superhatred2 would make a disturbing post on the r/RBI2 subreddit titled simply, "Terrifying film found at thrift store." Hello everyone, sorry I'm on my phone, so I'm leaving an update as a comment. When I saw the photo, I was curious and pointed it into a contrast area to look at it, and my body jolted because I was shocked. I didn't buy the Kodak Carousel, I just took the photo and went outside. I went to another store next door and called the non-emergency line describing what I saw, and that I felt like it was a genuine photo. They told me they're sending an officer when available. The officer arrived a bit after I posted the updates. Him and I looked at the photo and showed him the exact box I found it in. He sent a photo of the film to a coworker and spoke to him on it. He then took down my information and told me that he's gonna take it to the people who can properly process the image to investigate. That's all I have so far. If there's anything, I'll be sure to update. Sorry for any mistakes. I wrote this in my car, and my hands are a bit shaky. This post would obviously end up getting plenty of attention from the wider community. People would begin investigating, trying to uncover any and all info related to this picture, researching famous homicide cases, potential scenes from obscure horror films, and even famous online gore imagery. But it seemed like this image is an original, a one of one. And in summary, the leading explanation that everyone has come to agree with is that the slide is an authentic photo of a crime scene. But where it came from, who left it here, and the context in which it was taken could not be determined. The truth is, people randomly finding photos of real-life crime scenes isn't something new. There's been a few notable cases in history of similar things happening. Notably the Goodwill execution photo, where a woman in Washington found an old photo inside a Goodwill album showing two men bound in water and a shadowy figure holding what looks to be a gun. One of the men resembled a Theodore Teddy Franks, who went missing in Ohio in 1986. The photo shocked his family, but no confirmation was ever made, and the mystery remained unsolved. Or the Terra Calico Polaroid, which was found in a Florida parking lot and showed a teen girl and a young boy bound and gagged in a van. The girl resembled a Terra Calico, who had vanished a year earlier in New Mexico. But forensic analysis was inconclusive, and Tara was never found. And I guess now we have a third contender on that list. One leading theory that's been brought up is the possibility that the photo was used in some sort of police investigation or forensics training. The angle, the composition of the shot, and the fact that it was in a carousel projector definitely gives credence to this theory. I've been on some crime scenes in my 28 years on a job. This looks pretty legit. Only a few people I could think would want to hold on to something like this: retired homicide, serial killer, or medical examiner's office. I could see that carousel being a property of a law enforcement agency that was used for training, then declared surplus and eventually donated. That would mean that some dipshit didn't make damn sure it was empty. I couldn't really see a homicide investigators actually wanting to relive that crap. And for me at least, serial killers and the people who choose to work for the ME are the same thing. Weird. Now, while the police have been notified, it seems like their investigation has not been publicized yet. This could either be that it was identified as a piece of forensics training that made it out of the lab, or it's also possible that if the case was recognized internally as an old unsolved murder from the area, that the authorities might not release details just yet, so as not to tip off any suspects or out of the respect of the victim's family until they have something solid. What I find weird, however, is that there was only one single photo left in there. Almost like whoever gave this device away, they wanted that picture to be found. They wanted their crime to be known. Reasons as to why though, well, your guess is as good as mine. It's November 21st, 2003. MSN Messenger is still the main way people chatted online. The PlayStation 2 and the original Xbox are competing in the global markets. News breaks of Michael Jackson's arrest on multiple charges of sexual misconduct. And a small family-owned website goes online for the first time ever. It's November 19th, 2024, and an internet user makes a strange discovery. They post about it in the r// weird website subreddit. Has anyone ever heard of this? It's a weird website. If you figure anything out, please let me know. They leave a link underneath their post, Horselaugh.com. Clicking this link, you would come faced with a directory index page, a blank white website with no custom homepage, no introduction, no info, just a raw folder structure of a web server, files and directories available in full public access. The first entry listed is a folder, 1417BR-orbs, and opening it, we are met with 8 video files, all numbered. Clicking on one, and a video opens. It's of a girl sleeping in an empty, sterile room with no furniture and boarded up windows. What the hell kind of website is this? What did we just stumble into? This folder contains several short 1-minute long videos of the same young girl sleeping in an empty room. It's unsure if this room is situated in a hospital, a home, or some sort of monitoring facility. And while in most clips nothing notable happens, in some of them, a figure can be seen, opening the door and walking around outside. All videos were recorded in March of 2023, around 11:30 p.m. Who is this girl? Why is she being filmed? Is she here willingly? Does she know she's being filmed? And why are these videos being uploaded here, buried on some forgotten website from 2003? Today, the website has been completely wiped clean, but archived copies of the website still exist, showing us some of the things that were hosted here before. Besides the 1417 folder, there are 3 HTML entries and 1 empty bin folder. The earliest entries on here are from 2012, titled 2007 Vacation and Vacation Pics. These entries are a complete shift in tone. They're not footage or surveillance, but a family blog from a mother named Tammy writing about their road trip across America with her husband named Dan and their 2 kids, Alan and Audrey. The next entry is a file titled ASD-index from 2016, a pseudoscientific block of text rambling on about a supposed connection between autism and a style of stomach bacteria. Strange. At this point, due to how unhinged the whole thing seemed, users started digging into the history of the site itself through the Wayback Machine, trying to see if there was anything else hosted on here before. And by going back in time, we find that from 2023 to 2016, the page only displayed text that is from the ASD index with no other entries hosted. In 2014, the page displayed a single heartfelt message from Dan to Tammy. In 2013, the main page was a simple contact list with emails linking to 4 people, and Alan, Audrey, Tammy, and Dan. The earliest archives are from 2004 and show that the website was originally an educational hub for antique cameras. It seems like Horselaugh.com began as a personal family project, a place to share hobbies, preserve memories, and document their lives. But then, along the way, something changed. When people looked through a domain registry, they found that the website is owned by Dan Judd since November 1st, 2003, the same Dan referred to in the website. So, who is this Dan Judd? A Reddit user by the name of 1337AF makes a discovery. Googling combinations of the names of the family members from Horselaugh with the last name of the domain owner leads to various people search websites, which do tie all 4 of the names together. Using a Whois service, one can find many other domains registered by the same person. Interestingly, one website here stands out from the rest, OKLDS.com, which stands for Oklahoma Latter-day Saints. The site looked like a cluster of various personal and business directories, including Horselaugh and one called LDS, which stands for Latter-day Saints. The Church of the Latter-day Saints, or the Mormon Church, is a Christian religion movement founded in the 1800s. What's interesting here is that if we move the date forward to 2016, the website hosted only 2 directories, one titled Autism Notes and one called 116 Pages. According to Mormon history, these 116 pages refer to the last first chapter of the Book of Mormon, said to be lost in 1828. To this day, this remains as one of the biggest mysteries in Mormon scripture. Now, what's interesting is that digging deeper into the online Mormon community, it seems like Dan Judd was somewhat of a famous figure, mostly for the fact that Dan claimed he had these 116 pages. In an 8-year-old post from 2017 on the ex-Mormon subreddit, it says, Shell McDermott has been talking about these 116 pages for months, and now her recent newsletter contains this item. Dan Judd. Dan is truly a unique individual if his story plays out. He inherited a box with some religious documents in it, along with 2 maps and some promissory notes. You can get the full story on NFP chat. It is believed to be the lost 116 pages. To my knowledge, the pages have been released from the claims department at the bank and handed over to the church last week. Stay tuned. The more people looked in, it seemed like Dan's connections ran much deeper than just the mainstream Mormon community. In 2019, a woman by the name of Lori Vallow made headlines for reasons that seemed bizarre. Her children had gone missing. 7-year-old Joshua Vallow and 16-year-old Tylee Ryan suddenly vanished. Lori didn't report them missing. In fact, she seemed unfazed. When family members asked where the kids were, Lori gave vague excuses. Then she stopped answering questions altogether. At the time, she had just married a man by the name of Chad Daybell. In June of 2020, investigators found what they were looking for. Buried in Chad's backyard, in shallow graves, were the remains of JJ and Tylee. Lori and Chad had murdered their own children and escaped to live their new lives in Hawaii. On top of that, Chad's previous wife, who died under suspicious circumstances just weeks before Chad married Lori, her death was also ruled as a homicide. At the time of the murders, Chad and Lori were members of the Church of the Latter-day Saints. However, their beliefs had significantly deviated from mainstream Mormonism. Chad was an apocalyptic author and publisher who claimed to have visions of the future, lived through multiple past lives, and prophesied the world would end in July of 2020. While Lori, who had come to share his fringe beliefs, became convinced that she was a deity destined to play a role in the coming apocalypse, and that her family was getting in the way of her mission. This case would come to be known as the Vallow-Daybell Doomsday Murders. But buried in the edges of this story, in archived emails and old forums, was another name: Dan Judd. On a thread on the r/Lori Vallow subreddit that's referencing an older unarchived LDS forum, one user mentioned that Dan Judd reportedly had interactions with Lori. According to the post, she once told him that he needs to learn to be more trusting of people, and at one point, they were also planning to have him speak at a conference tied to the fringe Mormon groups. Now, from everything that we've come to know so far, it seems like Dan and Lori and Chad's relationship ends here, with Dan cutting ties with them sometime in 2017. So, we have a website with disturbing surveillance footage tucked deep inside of it. We have claims of lost scriptures, strange beliefs about autism, connections to fringe religious movements, and real-world murders. We still have no idea who the girl in the video is, why these videos exist in the first place, what Dan's current state of mind and beliefs are, and how deep the connection between him, Lori, and Chad really was. Either way, the page is offline now, and whatever this website was, whatever its purpose is, it slipped through the cracks just long enough for us to see it. To see Horselaugh.com. Google Maps Reviews is one of those useful features of the internet that we don't really think much about. Introduced in 2007, Google Reviews quickly became a hub for self-submitted ratings, comments, and photos about businesses and places from around the world, directly integrated into Google Maps. Most of us have interacted with this system in one way or another, checking a restaurant before going out, or scanning a shop's reviews before we visit. It's a practical, helpful, and simple tool for navigating this not-so-simple world. It's one of those useful internet tools that we take for granted. And it's one of those places where you least suspect to find an internet mystery. On the surface, Ricky Calderon is like any other dedicated Google Reviews user. His account currently sits at 58 different reviews, all of them of restaurants exclusively. His reviews follow a pattern, each one divided into categories based on food, service, atmosphere, price, and parking. And with all his reviews being positive, never dropping below 4 stars. Okay, nothing here seems out of the ordinary. But it's not until you go to his photos tab that things stop being so ordinary. For years, Ricky has been uploading hundreds of photos just like this to his Google account. All of them are of half-faced photos taken of women in mainly girl-run restaurants like Hooters, Twin Peaks, Bombshells, and the likes. Now, most seem to be some sort of composites, mixing pictures of real women, most likely taken from the internet, and photoshopped against a variety of random backdrops, which all seem to be around the theme of these restaurants. But not all of them are like this. Some of them seem to be completely digitally made or generated, showcasing faces that don't even look real. Others barely show a face, opting for just eyebrows or a forehead. And some seem to be fully real pictures, taken inside these restaurants of real women who are unaware that they're being photographed, usually taken hidden behind a menu or behind a front desk computer. Although he seems to be mostly active in Florida, he has other reviews in Texas, South Carolina, Illinois, and Maryland. So, who is this Ricky Calderon? And why are they doing this? Some of the main theories that everyone seems to go along with is that Ricky's account is some sort of internet hoax/ARG, or more interestingly, some sort of AI algorithm training itself to create realistic Google reviews and photos. But after looking at this deeply, you'll find that both of those theories fall short. First, there is really no evidence proving that this is some sort of ARG or hoax. Ricky has been at this for years, uploaded hundreds of images, and none of them seem to be connected to anything else. There is no puzzle to be solved, no clues, no coded language, no hidden subplot or call to action, not even a sign that he wanted to be found in the first place. And as for the AI theory, it's bad for the fact that it brushes off the very much alarming and creepy nature of this account as just AI weirdness. If we take some time to study Ricky's account, we see that not only are these images wildly different from one another, with some appearing to be real, others photoshops, and some completely fake, it seems like the older we go, the more real these images get. Almost like Ricky started off trying to take real images, but opted out to creating fake ones instead. But also, hidden deep within all these images are two that stand out from the rest. These two are the only images where Ricky takes a picture and captures his own hands. Both pictures seem to be showing the hands of the same person, the same skin tone, with the same thumb, nail length, and shape. Ricky is a real person who is physically present in these photos. Not only that, but it seems like Ricky began his creepy obsession way before being on Google Maps. A simple Google search of the man's name brings up a Flickr account from 2017. This is the only other verified account of Ricky Calderon. Unlike on his reviews, this one seems to feature full headshots of the girls, who at least seem to be consenting to their photos taken, although I doubt they knew what the true purpose of them was. Furthermore, it seems like there was an evolution to his obsession, with the earlier photos hosted only having their uploaded file name as their title, but as we move forward in the timeline, Ricky begins titling these uploaded photos with the names of the girls featured in them. He then goes offline for what seems like 2 years from 2020 to 2022, maybe due to the pandemic at the time, enabling him to visit these places in person, only to come back even stronger and stranger. this time with a very specific look in mind, a fixation that develops and worsens throughout the years. The whole thing gives off very creepy vibes to me personally. Ricky's entire online footprint seems to be a complete digital projection of a coping mechanism, a parasocial illusion built by Ricky, photo by photo. Now, whether this is some strange fetish, some mental obsession, or something more sinister at play, I can't say just yet. All we can do is keep an eye out on Ricky for the foreseen future. And until then, I'll leave that here. I hope you've enjoyed your stay, and I'll see you all very soon.